Uh, Maoist Leninist Marx asks if I'm a Trotskyist. I think he got that impression because of my email, trotskycommie@gmail.com, which I don't use anymore, by the way, because it's infested with spam. But, I don't know how to answer that because I do not really see the point of all these denominations of communism. The same problem happens with Christianity or anything else. You know, it's like with Christianity where if you say you're a Christian, then they ask you, well, are you a Baptist? Are you a Catholic? Are you... And unless it's something obvious, like the visible differences between Mormonism and Catholicism, you don't really know how to answer that question. You just figure you're a Christian, right? So I would think the same would apply to communism, where unless there are some visible differences, like the way Stalinism believes in national communism and believes that there should be some pride in the motherland and crap like that, I don't see the difference. And to me, Stalinism is not real communism. Stalin was not a communist. He was a good man. He did good things for Russia, but I do not believe philosophically he was a communist. I believe he was reactionary. He was a nationalist, and maybe that was the best he could do. But you know, when you think about the definition of a communist, I do not define Stalin as that. And that does not necessarily mean that I think Trotsky would have been a better choice than Stalin, but that's just the way I feel. I also don't believe there's ever been a lot of really good communist leaders. Most of them have just been nationalists that were not racists or, you know, religious xenophobes. They were just for their country, and that's all well and good, but it doesn't get down to the real problem of the bourgeoisie system. It doesn't really get down to imperialism and capitalism and putting a stop to it. You know, because you cannot just protect your nation. You have to infest other countries and integrate them into the communist belief system. So in that regard, I agree with Trotsky in the permanent revolution and, you know, helping other countries wage revolutions on their own grounds in hopes that they will become communists too. Or, you know, just going in there and forcing them to be communists. But that does not necessarily mean I agree with everything Trotsky said. I don't agree that you should help the petite bourgeoisie in order to harbor hatred toward the greater bourgeoisie, because if you ask me, the petite bourgeoisie are the worst kind. You know, there's a reason why the video game industry isn't all-encompassing the same way McDonald's and Walmart is. It's because video games can't get away with the shit that McDonald's and Walmart can across the world. You know, they act like Korea is so draconian and tyrannical because, you know, they have all these stimulations upon their corporations. Why do you think that is? It is because they're nationalists and because they care about the Korean people. They're not communists, but they at least have some kind of dignity and integrity about them. And that's commendable. I think very well of the North Korean people. But I'm not going to lie and say that I think they're communists. I'm not going to lie and say that's what communism looks like. It might help communism. It might help transition us into that. But I just don't believe anybody is a real communist or we've ever had a really communist country, because it's not something you can just have. It's a political science. It's a theory. It is something that transforms. So, you know, we have socialist states, we have nationalist states, we have fascist states, capitalist states, we have all these different types of states, but communism is none of that. Communism is beyond all of that, and you have to work your way up to that. So, to answer your question, I don't consider myself a Trotskyist. Others might. You know, I've been called a Bolshevik a lot. You know, but I don't pay attention to things like that. I just work on telling people how I feel, hoping to reach like-minded people, hoping that, you know, with the articles I link to and the stuff I talk about, it helps open their mind, it helps them realize they're not alone in how they feel, and, you know, make them realize just how bad of a position we're in, and do something to fight back. That's all I do these videos for. I'm not trying to promote a certain type of communism. I'm not trying to promote a certain political party, which I think would happen if you want to go into the details if you're a Stalinist or Trotskyist or, you know, Leninist or whatever. I just think that creates that mentality of vicious partisan hacks, and we don't need that. You know, that's the type of thing the bourgeoisie uses to manipulate us and turn us against each other, when we should be pissed off that they're treating us like shit and making us work for shit wages. But, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself here, and I'm just discussing what you already know. You already know the rich are assholes, you already know the rich are taking advantage of you, but, I honestly don't know how to answer your question. I don't want to say that even if I really authentically agreed with Trotsky, I wouldn't just want to come out and say that, because a lot of my friends don't like Trotsky, and it would make me kind of uncomfortable, you know, that, like, say, Maoist Rebel, he hates Trotskyists, and I don't want him to change who he is. He's a good guy, he says a lot of good things. I don't want him to, you know, change. I think he's perfect just the way he is, and, you know, for me to be this example of a good Trotskyist, I don't want him to think that he's wrong just because I'm right. And, you know, so that's why, another reason why I don't come out and say it. That's why I felt bad that Atheism Central took me off his friends list, even though I understood why. You know, I talk bad about the gays. I think gays are horrible people. I think they're sadistic pieces of shit. And he considers himself gay. So, naturally, he responded in kind. But, you know, that's his choice. That's his fault. He chose to be part of that group. He chose that organization. He chose that identity. And that is the problem with nationality. That is the problem with race and with gender and with religion and with all things that divide people. And hopefully, under communism, we wouldn't have any of those problems. Ultimately, we have to work toward a one-world religion, a one-world government, a one-world language, and there will be no identities. There will only be the product of labor and the product of a better tomorrow. You know, happiness for everybody, equality for everybody, justice for everybody, and to me, that means getting rid of certain undesirable people. But, so, I guess that's it.